Hello and welcome everyone to our Travel Massive event today here from the Berlin chapter. We are pleased to see you, virtually at least. I'm Lydia Band, leading the Berlin community here for Travel Massive, together with my colleague Amelie next to me. And also our colleague Lisa, who can't join us here on our virtual stage today, but she's saying hi to everyone. So today we are hosting a startup showcase, and we are looking forward to present you some fresh and new ideas from our community. And I'm handing over to my colleague Amelie now, who is going to give you a quick overview about what's going to happen during the event, and is also introducing our first speaker.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you join us today. Maybe you can leave us a comment from where you join us. It's quite curious with this online situation. So I'm Amelie, founder from Hängematten and also chapter of Berlin. So today we are hosting 3 exciting and sustainable startups from our Berlin chapter. The Staycation collection, Recharge and Visit Dark Skies. The founders will present their ideas one after the other. In between, there will be a bit space for 2 or 3 questions from the audience, and at the end there will be a Q&A session. So feel free to leave some questions in the comments so that we can try to answer them. I'm happy to hand over to the first speaker, Amelie McDonald. She is a travel writer and founder of the Staycation collection. Lean back and have a drink and enjoy her stories.
Hi everyone, lovely to see you all here, albeit virtually, and thank you so much for tuning in. I know what it's like to have serious screen fatigue. In fact, I think I had 5 different meetings last week, all on different channels. So like jumping around, it's intense. So I really appreciate you being here. So like the great team from the Berlin chapter said, I am Emily and I'm the founder of the Staycation collection. And I'd like to start by asking you a question. So how many of you have moved to a new city or a new country and you've been so excited about where you are and so excited to explore the area, and then just for one reason or the other, you've just not? Whether that be you're too busy with work or you just kind of get lazy with your routine, and then you just kind of have your coffee shop in your area and maybe your walk in the woods that you go and do, and you just don't explore the place that you now live. And that's what happened to me. So I am very obviously British, but I moved to Berlin 4 years ago. And I was so excited to explore this beautiful country that I had decided to move to. You know, I don't know how many of you know Germany, but obviously we have the Alps in the south and there's a beautiful coast in the north. And in between there are mountains and forests and so much amazing stuff. There's even vineyards that have the same climate as in France. And all of these places I just didn't go and visit. And that was just really foolish. And I was just thinking, like, why aren't I doing this? I need to make more of a decision. And I would go on these big booking sites and I would scroll through page after page after page of places to stay. And I would just get so confused because I didn't recognize the language or the name of the town. And I would get really frustrated and think, this place is really ugly, or this place is really expensive. And I don't really understand what I can do here. And it's not somewhere that I can imagine myself going on holiday. And so what I would do is I would just book flights to go to Spain or to Portugal, and they are amazing tourist destinations, but it's not really a sustainable way to travel, and it's not the way to be traveling when you've chosen to move somewhere that is kind of so special that you want to explore too. And I was thinking, right, how can we travel more sustainably, and how can I encourage people to really explore what is on the doorstep, and what would encourage me to discover what is on the doorstep? And I have a background in travel and specifically boutique accommodation, so kind of independently run properties, really beautiful places to stay that are run by couples or by families that really love what they do and love the area and have history with it. And so I thought, right, I need to start thinking about this idea and what can I do? And then COVID hit, and it seemed like a really strange time to start something in the travel space. because nobody can travel, right? But it was one of those things that kind of all of the stars seemed to align, because domestic travel was suddenly going to become a much more important topic. So I was like, now is the time to act. I need to really encourage people to discover the beautiful world around them, that they feel safe getting into a car to go and visit, that they can get on the train and go and visit more sustainably and just feel good about their actions. And so what I spent the first lockdown, almost a year ago now, just researching and trying to find these really beautiful places to stay. And as I kind of grew out what I was doing, I found through a lot of user research that both with properties and with people, that there's kind of a little gap that I was able to fill. So I have a storytelling and writing background, and I've written for The Guardian and for kind of Suitcase magazine and other travel publications. And a lot of people don't stay in Airbnbs because they don't understand the story behind the place, and they can't see why it's special, and they want to connect with the owner or understand what they can do in the area. And so I was like, my skill set can fit here. I can write and I can inspire people in this way. And on the hotel side, kind of they were feeling a bit frustrated that these large booking sites take huge commissions. I'm sure a lot of you experts already know kind of what the fees are that Airbnb and Booking.com take, but it's close to 30%. And a lot of these independent places, especially during COVID, were really struggling with this and struggling with kind of losing income and then having to pay these fees on top. So that leads me on to a little bit about the business model. So what I do is I find all of these beautiful places to stay, and it's a membership fee to access these properties. So you kind of, when you land on the platform, you see all of these amazing places to stay. They're really, really special. And I'm still shocked and inspired every time I look at them. And then you pay as a member to enter the site. And what you're paying for is effectively a travel agency for the digital age. So kind of travel agency because we help connect you with really special places. And then a little bit of Airbnb. So you have the listing site with kind of community related places to stay. And then a little bit like the Lonely Planet magazine. So there's stories in there and kind of inspirational tips that can help you envisage where you want to go. And so like I said, the membership model, it operates kind of on an annual or a monthly fee. And people sign up. And with that membership, it's not just access to the content. It's really this hands-on community feeling of, you could write to me and say, hey, Emily, I want to go away this weekend with my dog to the forest. I want there to be a fireplace and a sauna, because if you don't know, Germans love saunas. I've now also started to love saunas. But it's kind of this really personal connection. And what I would do is I write back and say, hey, here are my top recommendations. And I think there's been a real push in the last couple of years, and especially the last year, to have this human connection. And I think that's something that's been really special. And it's also really beautiful to turn around and say, we want to be a part of the movement to support local economies. We're not going to take money from this side. We're going to kind of take it as a service fee on the other side. And of course, that means that sometimes we have to do a little bit of education around why there's a new model, but it's something that really resonates with people. And it's been really special to see that kind of first user base come and you know, have that first core community that are really excited and really passionate about what it is that we're doing. And I think the thing that I'm very happy every time a member signs up, but one of the proudest things for me is I have members from Airbnb and Booking.com as part of the platform who use the service to find places to stay in Germany. And I think that says something about filling that need, and that's something really special. And yeah, it's kind of really wonderful to present to you. So I will show you very briefly what the platform looks like and kind of give you a taste for some of the properties on it. And if any of you wants to ask any more questions later, then please do. So I'll give you a brief overview, and then I will wrap up and hand over to the next speaker. So I can share here. Always the fun, awkward tech moment where you have to fill the silence by rambling, or at least I do. So here you go. Here's kind of the overview of the places to stay. And as you can see, they're all kind of very different. So obviously kind of with the classic listing site, you can see where they are. So the different states in Germany, the cost, and then what they look like. And we have everything from former manor houses to cabins in volcanic hills to B&Bs in the city. This is a glass house in the vineyard, and a cabin by the coast. And there's something in terms of price range for a lot of people. There's something in terms of style for lots of different people. And I think that's something really special, that we're not ruling out people by budget. We're kind of really trying to give access to this country to lots and lots and lots of people, and kind of across the board, and trying to connect to people that love traveling and love finding a story behind somewhere to stay. So I'll stop sharing my screen now and just end by saying, if any of you are interested to talk further, then you can also, please always feel free to reach out. It's always great to connect with passionate members of the community. And what we are working on at the moment and kind of going forward is just trying to build traction and kind of get growth and get the Staycation collection in front of as many eyes as possible. So if there's anyone that could be interested in doing a partnership or kind of a strategic collaboration, then please get in touch. I always want to work with people that share our values and that there's kind of a give and take on both sides. So that's it. That's me. That's the Staycation collection. And I'm excited to answer any questions you have later. And I'll hand back to the rest of the team now.
Thank you very much, Amelie.
Yeah.
So I think I'll just quickly continue. I think we didn't get specific questions yet, but I have seen in the chat that we have like not only visitors from Berlin for this event, but also from Ireland, California, Spain. So a quite international audience, which is great. But in this context, maybe just a quick question, because like also to inform all everyone in the audience who is not living in Berlin or Germany, just on the current situation, because like right now and in the past months we weren't able to book anything, right? So from your perspective, what do you think when people will be able to book stuff through the Staycation collection, or are they able to reach out to you already to reserve anything? So yeah,
exactly. So I mean, kind of different lockdown situations in different parts of the world, but yeah, for Germany we've been locked down since November and the lockdown is continuing to be extended. But from having spoken to a lot of properties that I connect with regularly, they think April, kind of after Easter, will be when travel potentially starts again. I'm hedging my bets towards the end of April, kind of looking at when the weather gets much better. But a lot of properties now are starting to take bookings again. They feel a little bit more confident about it, and availability calendars are open from April going forwards. And so in Germany, there's also a context of a lot of people booking for the summer holidays. That's already been happening. People have planned ahead, but there's definitely availability for kind of the late spring and early autumn. So if anyone is interested, please reach out. And for our wonderful international audience, if you ever come to Germany, then please get in touch and I'll be more than happy to give you some tips on where you should be traveling based on what you want from your holiday.
Perfect, thank you. I just saw that there's one question. So from Michael, he's asking if your offer is only for Germany at the moment. So this is the case, right? Yeah, so it's kind of in a dream world, I would love to expand. And kind of, I think that, potentially there's a desire for this in other places. But for now, it's kind of, I want to build it and prove that it really can work financially in the German context. And then, I'm open to bringing it to wherever people might want it. Perfect. Thank you very much, Amelie. Thank you, everyone. So, I think we're handing over to Amelie and the next speaker. See you later again. Bye.
So, okay, many thanks, Amelie. This sounds all great to me. There are so many nice spots on your website. I'm looking forward that the lockdown is over soon. So now I'm happy to hand over to Guillaume. He's the founder of the platform Recharge, and I'm curious what he's telling us about.
Thank you, Amelie. Good evening, everybody. My name is Guillaume. I'm from France, you might guess with the name. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Recharge. So Recharge is the first travel platform made for people with electric vehicles. In 2020, you may have noticed, was not the best year for travel, but for electric vehicles, this was the best year ever. Almost 20% of the cars sold in Germany were electrified, and 1 million of them in Europe were electrified. But there's still a big issue, like traveling with long distance with an EV is still an adventure. I will illustrate for people that are not familiar with electric vehicle. Yeah. How does it really work to do this? So basically, when you want to travel with a regular car, the only thing you do is you look what the perfect location you want to go, such as a website of Amelie right before. And if it fits your budget, and you simply sort of drive there, like finding fuel is just an afterthought. On an electric vehicle, it's very different. First, you will figure out if you can reach this destination without charging. And if you can, you will arrive with an empty battery at the destination, which means you need to find a charging point that will accept you overnight, where you can actually pay for it, and also that is actually working, which is not always the case. So what you do is you have to look through different type of apps and services to find information and gather it to build and plan your itinerary, which can be quite stressful. And if you sort of fail to do that, you might be stuck somewhere between 1 hour and 24 hours to recharge your battery. At Recharge, we want to simplify all of that. What we want to do is we want to bring all this information into one single interface. And that's why we built the first website dedicated for booking hotels with charging points. On Recharge, what you can do is you can find all the classic amenities you will find on a normal website. And on top of this, you can find very precise information about charging, whether it's the number of plugs, the availability, or the pricing of this solution. So when people book something on our website, they are sure they can start the day after with a full battery, and they don't have to worry about it. In a nutshell, what we want to do is we want to let people focus on the destination, but not on where to charge. We were planning to launch in 2020, but we had a bit of a setback, as you may know, as all people working in the travel space. So we use this time to really rework the concept and also completely change our tech stack and add more content. As of today, we have already more than 10,000 hotels that have a charging point in 18 countries and 50,000 that are located next to a public charging point. So you can already virtually travel anywhere in Europe or North America with an EV, if you're allowed to, obviously. What we want to do or expand in the future is going beyond a hotel booking website and being a sort of travel companion for everybody owning an EV. Meaning that we want to help people to plan their trip, and if they need to recharge on the way, either save as much time as possible or use this time to explore where you stay, either buying to restaurants, shopping, or discovering new activities. We want to obviously help people to reach or to stay overnight wherever they want to be. But we also want to promote a new sustainable way of traveling with the EV, traveling emission-free, by providing itineraries that are made for EVs, suggesting tips how to organize it, and also promoting accommodation providers have sustainability in mind, either is by energy savings or protecting the environment or the local culture. In 2020, we have a lot of things to do. So first, we're going to relaunch our websites in 1 month, in March. Hopefully, we're going to be ready when people can start to travel in Europe again. We want to increase the team, starting with an expert in marketing. So if you know anybody with good experience in online marketing, let me know. And we will raise our initial funding round. So if you're excited by travel and you believe the future of travel is electric, then stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Guillaume. That sounds really like a great idea. I had last summer, I offered a tour with a few on an e-bike, and then we had big troubles by finding a spot charging our bikes. I think there's really a big need of it also for cars. They need even more to charge. So yeah, good idea. We didn't get any question yet, so I think for questions we will do that at the end of the Q&A. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So I think all of you know how happiness you feel if you see a starry skies, the Milky Way, the Big Dare, or the Southern Cross. This topic is dedicated by Visit Dark Skies and the founder Etta Danemann. So I'm very curious about her business and happy to hand over to you, Etta.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Etta Danemann from Visit Dark Skies, and I'm really glad to present Visit Dark Skies today. The company has been founded last year, and we have soft launched our product in late fall. We had some pilot clients, and now we are ready to make it more known. And I'm super happy to present it. So, did you ever lay down in the grass at night, watching the stars, watching the Milky Way with a special person next to you? So, Visit Dark Skies is about this experience. And as cities are getting more and more light polluted, seeing a natural night sky has become a touristic quality. And being connected to the stars is deeply rooted in our culture. Our scientific curiosity comes from there. Many stories are related to the stars, children's books, for example. And as an architect, I personally appreciate also the aesthetics of that black velvet-like sky that kind of envelopes you in these remote locations. And people that I speak to that have experienced such a night sky, an excellent dark sky sight, usually they remember that for decades. And maybe you also remember the first time that you saw the Milky Way. And I think that's what tourism is about, right? It's creating experiences that you remember, creating memories. And astrotourism is not only a trend to me, it's more like the perfect answer to our digital lives, where we look to a flat screen all day. And then when we go to a remote location and a star park, we can look into a dark and infinite universe. And that's the perfect contrast experience to this life. So Visit Dark Skies works with regions, with communities, with hosts in remote locations, and we help them reach their potential. We help them create awareness about the treasure that they own and also how to protect that treasure. And we help them create experiences and create value. And to make it very easy for them, we have developed an audio experience for dark sky places. And that's a 25-minute digital file that people can hear on their smartphone. And they can listen to it independently from a star guide, and hosts can just give access to the file to their guests and have little effort, and still they can offer a little event. And it has two parts, and one part is like a star tour. We talk about the Big Dipper. Most people know the Big Dipper, and we expand that knowledge a little bit. We tell some stories around it. So afterwards, you feel more confident to explain it to your kid or to your neighbor. And the second part, and that's my favorite part, is guided stargazing. And there we really guide your view for 10 minutes into the sky. And we help you perceive the sky as a single entity and see all the stars at the same time. And that's possible because your eye functions differently at daytime than at nighttime. So there's a little bit of scientific knowledge behind the product about eye adaptation in darkness. And the effect of that little exercise that we do is really stunning. And you really perceive the sky in a different manner. And that effect can last for weeks or maybe even for a lifetime, because once if you know how to do it, you can always go back to it. And there's some music with it, so it really helps you to contemplate. And I really like it, and we got tremendously good feedback on it, and so that's very rewarding to me. And yeah, the business model is B2B2C. That means that you can buy the product on our website, but we work closely with stakeholders in remote locations, and they can point people to our website and earn some additional income, or they can buy a license and integrate it into their events or into their packages. And we offer some marketing materials, so it's very easy to become a partner. There's very little effort on the partner side. So if you want to listen to the trailer, just go to my website, and I'm looking forward to any cooperation, whether you are a tour operator or a host in a remote location or a community lead, or yeah, I'm looking forward to any contact that we can make. Okay, thank you very much.
Many thanks, Etta. That was really good. I imagine now how I'm hanging in a hammock and listening to your guide and watching the stars. That sounds just perfect to me. I'm wondering, which language is your guide? I don't know, maybe I missed this when you were saying
No,
it.
I think I forgot that part. It's German. The English version is in preparation. So we are only ready for the German-speaking market so far, but there's a lot of work in the product, and we work with professional speaker and stuff. So we, as Amelie said, we just try it for the German market, and yeah, but I'm very I'm super excited to do the English version as well. Very fast.
Yeah, cool. Sounds really great. And are there already places, if lockdown is finished, where you can try those guides already?
I mean, you can, if you know where to go, you can just buy it on our website now. So you are independent from hosts, but there are some pilot clients, mostly in Westhavelland or Mecklenburger Parkland, that have bought a license. There's a place called Unterm Sternenhimmel, for example, that has little campers with an open roof, and we also have a cooperation with Sleepero, and yeah, there's some nice little steps. Yeah, there's also one hotel that has a star wagon, and you can go there as a couple, and they just they just leave you alone it's really nice.
So they have like a panorama window?
Yeah, the whole ceiling can be opened.
Okay, wow.
And it's with heating, so it's really the comfort version of.
Yeah.
I think glamping and stargazing fits well together, but you can also do a very nature-based approach and do it more like astrophotographers really travel to the most remote location that you can go, or you can make it more comfortable or being on a boat or whatever.
Okay, cool. Sounds really great. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
I think we could start with the Q&A and get all the others back in the room.
Yeah. So here we are. So yeah, thank you all very much for your presentations and introducing your startups. I think all of the 3 ideas are great, super interesting. Also, I just saw we got like a few questions coming in. Also, Amelie and myself, we have a few questions for all of you. But first of all, as we just heard Etta's presentation, there is another question from Mary. She's asking if your product applies to skies over Germany only, or also to skies in other parts of the world, including the Southern Hemisphere.
It's only the northern so far. But outside Germany, yes. So the whole Northern Hemisphere, the Star Tour only touches the Big Dipper, and that's as it's so close to the North Star, it's visible from many places and all over the year. And there's one star that we don't see. But yeah, that's fine. So it's not based on the constellations and their they change during the year. It's more general. It's really applicable to many locations, but it's good to have a really large place where the horizon is visible, or like a really large grass or a beach or so.
I really want that now as well. Sounds great. Also, I got one more specific question for Amelie, and then I think we're going to share some more general questions to apply to all of you. So Amelie, Sean is asking if people book domestic travel breaks, perhaps they only do it 1 or 2 times a year. So he's wondering how you convince people to actually pay for an annual membership.
So we completely fair point. And yeah, it's kind of, we provide a lot of extra content in between. So of course, annual memberships are something that are big to commit to. But what we do is we send out members only newsletters. So kind of giving tips. In German, we say Ausflüge, which just means a day trip just to get out of the city or out of your house and go and explore. So we write a lot about the beautiful nature or the kind of interesting things that you can do in the area where you live. So for example, we also wrote something about how to discover the world in Berlin. So how you can kind of experience China or Japan while being in your own city. So really trying to give tips about how to look at the world in a different way. And we also do collaborations with brands who, like I said, kind of have similar values to us. So at the moment, we're working with a natural wine company. And obviously for us, it's great because then we get to talk about the up and coming vineyards in Germany, which are very interesting for people to go and visit. And then in return, they give us a discount for their products. And who doesn't love cheaper wine that is very good quality? So we kind of are trying to build up this perks program so that there's reason for you to be in there. And yeah, kind of building out, making sure that annual membership has value to the people that want to commit to it.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Thank you, Amelie. So yeah, for all of you have been starting like building and like publishing ideas about your startups during the pandemic. So obviously, we're quite interested to hear, like, from your experience, how that felt for you, and if it was really challenging, or how you experienced, like, building up your companies, especially during that time. Maybe Guillaume, you want to start sharing your experience?
I think the strangest part of being during the pandemic is that I met with my co-founder purely online. So we basically never met each other for the past year, but we've been working closely together since. And it works very well, surprisingly. And I think I would have never imagined that you can have this sort of collaboration without having this real face-to-face interaction at least once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main learning. But obviously, I mean, I'm still looking forward for having this real office-like interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. But the rest, it was mostly about. I think it's about to do the best you can on this special situation. So that's why we thought let's rather focus on developing the project we didn't have time to do. Because there were no other sort of area to focus on, and be ready when travel start again.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Amelie, Etta, you want to share something to that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think, just the circumstances now are so exceptional. And I think for people working in travel, it's kind of hard generally. So it's also one of those things kind of thinking like, why not just try it now? The whole world's on its head. If I have an idea, then I can have some space to work on it. And just try and build something now. And exactly like Guillermo said, once travel can happen again, having something that you feel proud of, that you're able to share and really push, having tested it kind of on a much smaller scale. So that's kind of been a really nice playground almost to kind of do your classic startup, test and innovate and interview and kind of keep going backwards. But then, of course, on the other side, I think it's, all startup founders know kind of how frustrating it is and kind of how stressful it can be and how responsive you have to be all the time. And I think it's been particularly hard not being able to go out and connect with the people that you really want to connect to. I think that's something that motivates a lot of us to kind of have those connections with people and visit new cultures or visit the kind of people that you find inspirational. And having that taken away has been quite difficult. And especially then you work at home in your four walls on something that you think is a good idea. And I'm sure, again, kind of all the founders know, you get to a point where you're like, why am I doing this? Does this even make sense? I had this crazy dream and now I'm making a website. What? And then to kind of, when you put something out there and you get really nice feedback, like maybe one or two people write to you and say, I found value in what you did, that is such a driver to keep going. And you think like, wow, okay, if I can provide value to at least one person, what I do is worth it. So that's kind of the motivation behind it. And of course, there are ups and downs, and you're talking to me on a good day, and maybe if you spoke to me in 3 days' time, I'd be exhausted and would be like, don't do it. But it's really nice to just say, I've given space to my idea, and maybe it doesn't work, but at least I've given it the opportunity, and I can kind of feel proud that I pushed it for as much as I could.
Yeah. So yeah, I think totally makes sense. So probably there are like aspects which are actually a bit like more positive than it would have been during normal times. But of course, also I see like the challenging part of it, and also like being more isolated and alone with your idea and not able to really going out with it and receiving the feedback you might have gotten like when travel is possible and people can actually experience what you're building. Etta, can you relate to that as well?
Yeah, sure. It's I've been I've been in my online home office for this for founding Visitax guys before as well, and I'm also a member of Impact Hub. So of course that exchange was less, but so far I just did the same thing as without the pandemic, because somehow at a certain moment I said, okay, does it really touch the product, or does it touch the business model in a way? And then at first I said no, and I just continued. But actually I changed a lot when I reflect on it. I changed a lot because I showed the prototype in English in 2019 at the Mayudak Sky Festival in Ireland. And we had a huge event planned for ETB and actually a launch in English. And then suddenly many people asked me, so do you have a German version? And I was like, no, I don't have the German version. And then I realized, actually, I need the German version first. So I changed a little bit. And with this, basically. So we focused more on the German speaking aspect of it, and then also this affiliate program that I have now is also related to the pandemic, because maybe there's a shift to camping platforms. So I felt I need to be more in relation with online platforms as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Amelie, you want to add something to that or share another question?
I have a question for other founders. I'm wondering, what are your most important takeaways so far? So do's and don'ts, what did you learn so far? Or do you have some hints for other founders?
Guillermo, do you want to start again? We can get into a rhythm of going through the three of us. Guillermo, you start.
I know, I thought Amelie was asking about the founders online, the other ones, the audience, if they had any takeaway from that.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I'm in Brandenburg in the countryside and my internet is not the best.
I didn't hear it. Okay. So shall I repeat the question again?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I think it was just a confusion if you mean the three founders we have on the stage here or the founders in the audience.
Okay, no, I mean you guys, if you have some hints to the other founders who are listening, so if you have do's and don'ts, what others should think about.
Okay. I think that's what Amelie pointed out, like when you are in your four walls, it's sometimes quite difficult because you don't get the feedback that you really need at this very early stage. I think for me, the key is to be committed to your ID. I mean, of course, you can sort of challenge it, but I think this is the right period to really continue and push all the way as far as you can. And then hopefully, if you have the good intuition, then the rest will follow. That's more or less my advice.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, I would say, don't feel like you have to sit at your computer all day, every day. I think when I started, I had this kind of like classic founder mindset. Obviously, Berlin is kind of full of startups, and I had worked in the startup space for a long time, and you kind of see a lot of people that are very proud of the fact that they've sat at their desk from 7 a.m. until 1 a.m. And for a while I was thinking, oh God, like, how can I keep up with this? This is really stressful. And I think taking breaks is one of the most powerful things you can do. And taking like a coffee break to call a friend or to call somebody else in space and just talk and kind of get out of your own head is really useful. And some of the best things that have happened to me will have been from, I'll call a friend and I'll say, oh, I'm really frustrated because the functionality on my website doesn't do this. And they go, yeah, but why do you need it to do that? And having someone that's not just kind of a potential user, but someone who's just completely disconnected to what you're doing, make you explain why you're trying to do something is really, really helpful. And kind of taking those natural breaks in the day to just give yourself to think through problems and daydream and get bored and frustrated and like then just take yourself away from the computer actually can lead to really positive things. So I think don't tie yourself to the computer. And yeah, do, like Guillermo said, just be really passionate about what you're doing. I think, you couldn't ride the ups and downs of kind of founding something when, okay, well, COVID means that you don't have any income for this month, or this month you've got a client that is complaining a lot and makes you feel like you've done something really terrible and, oh, it's really hard. But kind of if you really believe in that idea and you really think what you're doing has value, then that's really, really powerful and really helps drive you. And I think that's also it, making sure you stick to that value set, because of course the product and the direction might change. And like Etta said, you start thinking you have one specific idea and then it changes to something else, but that core value has always been there. And that core, I want to give this to the people because I think it's special. And kind of hanging on to that is something that really, really helps get you through the days.
Yeah, for me, actually, I think focusing on the product instead of the opportunities that are related to the product helped me because I was at the beginning, I was searching for opportunities, and now I have created a lot, but then focusing on the product and actually also getting paid advice brought me further, because once you pay someone very good to give you advice, you need to be ready in a different manner. It's different than asking a friend, so what do you think, or asking some random and that professionalizes the different steps in between. So I would encourage you not to hesitate to pay for good advice. I mean, not totally a lot, but also don't be too stiff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks for sharing those advice. Probably there are some people in the audience who might be also happy about those tips. Yeah. So I just saw that we have one more specific question for Guillaume, and then I think we're gonna have like one or two like overall questions again, also to wrap up the topic. So Guillaume, Mary was asking in the chat regarding because Amelie mentioned also e-bikes before, regarding the charging stations. If like e-bikes have the same charging stations as e-vehicles. And yeah, maybe you can share something about that.
Most of the time they don't, but usually it means there is an electric outlet. So in most hotels will also provide you access to a plug for your e-bikes. But that's definitely something we were looking at as well, because we have many hotels that want to have these specific features. And we might also add that to our website. Because I think there is a big audience, and it's also part of, it's even more sustainable if you manage to travel with your e-bikes.
Yeah, definitely.
Big vehicle.
Yeah. Thank you. So, I mean, also as like all of your free ideas are around like being outdoors, like connecting with nature, also sustainable mobility, like spending more time focused on topics like this. So do you also think that this is a general direction how travel behavior will change after the pandemic, and also how their needs will change in being more like outside, thinking about sustainability, using like offers like yours, and also maybe as a second question to follow up, if this will also change the market of the competitors. So do you see like a general trend like in the travel industry going in this direction? Maybe we can either start the same order again, like with Guillaume.
Sure. I mean, I guess everybody wants to go out now. We've been for too long into four walls. Is it going to change completely the behavior of people? I hope so. I also hope, because the development of home office help people to really also a bit not live only exclusively in cities, and people are looking for more space, not where they live as well. And they will also change the behavior and enjoying exactly this, having this freedom to go wherever they can. I think that's here to stay for sure. Are the competitors falling on? Well, actually, for me, it's difficult to say because basically most of the competitors are shut down. We saw that there are a lot of staycation that is developing. So maybe I'm not sure if it's reaching like the average worker that can afford to live in Thailand in a bungalow for 2 or 3 months, but that's definitely something that I saw popping up in many offers.
Yeah, I can echo that. So, like I said, I'm in the countryside at the moment, doing this is the perks of working, counts as business travel. So I'm staying in a what is called a workation retreat. So, before the pandemic, they had been just an apartment in the forest. It's a kind of an old train station that's been converted, really beautifully done. And they've said what they are seeing now is exactly people want to come and be in nature for an extended period of time. So coming out and combining work with nature and being able to say, okay, the sun's up right now, I want to go for a walk, and then come back and I can do some work in the evening. So kind of there's a lot of these rural places that are trying to add extra Wi-Fi in to kind of support people potentially doing that. But kind of on the flip side of that, there's this real push for people to disconnect completely. And I think we've been sat at home in front of our screens for so long. And I saw a meme the other day that was like, I'm just going to go from my big screen to my little screen before I go to my even bigger screen before bed. And kind of this idea of like laptop to phone to movies, like is kind of this pattern. And you're like, oh, yeah, really? And, it can't be good for our eyes, for like our heads. And I think all of us can feel it and kind of are feeling very frustrated with it. And so I think there's really a push towards kind of not just nature and digital detox type travel, but also towards wellness travel. And I think that's going to be something that really increases people thinking a lot more about their mental health and their physical health, and maybe combining the two. So I think maybe more like structured packages around yoga or meditation or stargazing, hopefully, as kind of a way to like clear the mind and kind of really connect the body back with the physical natural world. And I mean, in terms of competitors for me, so I mean, not that I would say I'm in anywhere near the same playing field as Airbnb, but kind of in terms of like hotel listing sites, Airbnb and Booking.com had to do a huge shift towards discovering places near you and kind of really trying to show people that there is space outside that they can discover. And we've had this idea that holiday means going abroad for so long, and there's this kind of huge market re-education that's okay, holiday doesn't have to mean going abroad. Please take a holiday here because the economy really needs it. It's a really powerful thing for so many reasons. And I think it's going to be us really interrogating our travel habits, one from just kind of this pandemic, but also the impact on the planet and the CO2 that kind of decreased last year during the first wave when really planes stopped to a huge extent.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, just adding, I think the pandemic is just catalyzing a movement that has begun earlier and that reacts to digitization and globalization. And it's actually the same as during the industrialization movement, right? We had this counter reaction to all the steam and to all the movement to cities during industrialization. We had a lot of nature movements at the beginning of the century, and I think now it's just really the same. People are they need to counter react to this dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can really feel that. So I'm also looking forward how also the whole travel scene might be changing, and also especially when we can all start again being outside, booking nice accommodations and trips, charging our e-cars and e-bikes. Yeah, Amelie, you want to share something else?
So I also think that the nature experience is getting more demand. So hopefully. So I have one more question. So what are your next steps now for your businesses? Guillaume, maybe we start with you. So
happy to take it. So the big next step is to our official relaunch happening next month. So in March, we will have a new platform live. It's going to be a big milestone for us. And then throughout the year, this will be to ramp it up and also adding more people to the project that wants to contribute. I think this is the big. Plus our funding round that we started and hope to close this summer, hopefully.
Fingers crossed for you. That's that's exciting and a lot of work. But yeah, here's hoping. Yeah, for me, it's kind of, like I said, much more around traction and kind of trying to showcase what we do to as many people as possible. So kind of everything from really pushing Instagram growth to then looking at kind of more traditional offline channels like print media. And then, like I said at the end of my presentation, kind of looking for interesting partners to collaborate with to kind of share network and share value, just to get as many eyes as possible on the website and the opportunity to book staycations.
Okay, good luck with this.
So Emily, I think we are on the same on the same path. Same with me. I just want to make it more known, find cooperation partners, and also work on the English version. And yeah, so looking forward to next month. And there's also, I mean, there are also German communities abroad, right? Most of the most beautiful stargazing locations are abroad, but I think the nice thing with stargazing is that we can encourage very regional travel. For example, from Berlin, Berlin has the Westhavelland, and that's the closest dark sky region worldwide to a metropolis. And you can really be in 1 hour, you can be by train on a dark sky site, and that's a world record. And so, but also there's La Palma there as a location that has, for example, that has a law against light pollution since 1988, and they just keep their space really safe, or try to react with their infrastructure. And so I'm also interested to work with other places like Montenegro, or like really places where if you go to lightpollution.map.info, you can see which places are interesting and which ones are maybe next to you.
Yeah, that's good to know. I think a lot of people will look that up now. But yeah, I mean, that sounds definitely like you all have interesting steps ahead of you. Definitely wishing you all the best luck with it. I think all of your free ideas sound super interesting. We also received feedback in the chat from the audience that they loved your ideas. So also for the audience, if you want to connect with our speakers, you can find their profiles on Trial Massive via our event page. Also, if you have like general questions, you can also reach out to Amelie, me, and our colleague Lisa via berlin@trialmassive.com, share questions there. Anyone wants to share some final words, comments?
Clear skies.
Yeah, fingers crossed that we'll all be traveling again soon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, so I would like to thank all three of you from my side. Yeah, as I said, good luck with all your ideas and next steps for your businesses. I'm definitely will stay updated on how all three of you will continue. Amelie, you have something else you would like to ask or share in the end?
Not really, only thank you to you three guys for the awesome ideas. And maybe if there's someone listening to us and wants to hold another event, you can also contact us for a future event.
Yeah, definitely. We're always open to ideas and feedback. We are probably planning a new online event in the upcoming months. Everyone can stay updated via our Berlin chapter on Trial Massive. So if you haven't done so yet, please join the chapter, and then you will receive all updates about events and any other news. So yeah, I think then this wraps it up for today. Thank you all very much for sharing, and also thanks to the audience from all those different places. Really nice to have you today in the audience. And yeah, I hope to see you all again soon, hopefully in person, but Probably next time will be virtual again. But yeah, wishing you all a good time and stay healthy.
Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Thank you,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you for watching. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.